Armored Core lore. Can you beat Armored Core 6 as Handler Walter? Today I'm going to jump straight into this challenge. You all know about Handler Walter's Armored Core, the Howl, and the rule for these challenges are, as always, no changes can be made to the AC. So the Ice Worm is going to be fun. With all this said, do sit back and let me first hand you over to my guest today, Pinktuskmammoth Tusk, who will take you through his time doing the Allmind path with Hal. After which I will come back to talk about the fires of Ravenroot and the Liberator of Rubicon Root.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the PTM AC Customs Garage. If you came here from Armored Core Lore's video, good on ya, and thanks for having me, buddy. It's good to meet you guys. If you're here from my channel, go and check out Armored Core Lore's channel to get the full video, because he's the one who gave me this challenge, and he's taken on a path himself. The challenge, of course, being to beat the Allmind path of Armored Core 6 using the preset AC Walter Dons, the IVIS series HAL 826 from the Rubicon Research Institute. So let's get this challenge on the road. In Chapter 1, we're given a choice on where to start, between destroy artillery installations or grid 135 cleanup. I started with blowing up some artillery. This mission proved to be no problem for old Wally. I just blasted away at everything I got near with his coral gun. I think I swung a sword here too also, but mostly just shot everything with the gun. And that made pretty quick work of just about everything. Small MTs and helis fell no problem in one shot, and the Baus MTs all generally fell in 2 shots. While the artillery themselves usually fell in 1 shot so long as I didn't really graze the front armor. Easy S rank here. Next up was to clean up the stragglers in grid 135. Again, we have the same types of enemies, minus the artillery. Towards the end of this short mission though, we do see our first quadcopters, but they aren't really much threat either. I probably could have pulled an S rank, but I got an A. After that, it was time to destroy the transport helicopters. Another mission that is no problem for Wally to beat, but if you want an S rank, I'm afraid I think his AC is a little too slow for that. You don't need to fight these guys, but I can never help myself. I had to wiggle my noodle at the Baus Tetrapod MT. Then I cleared up the rest of the choppers, and we got ourselves an A rank. Now it's time for everyone's favorite punching bag. Destroy the tester AC. Fighting this AC is even easier than fighting the normal mode Wonderful Body from Armored Core 4 in your first real AC fight. Here we are tasked with taking out this poor sap, so I came in with a charged up coral missile, then swung the big coral oscillator at him, giving an initial stagger, then proceeding to continue to bully him for an easy S rank. Up next was attack the damn complex, and first I couldn't remember if I needed to do the original or the alternative path, until I remembered the choice here didn't really matter, so I met in the middle by picking the alternative mission, but then opting to do the easier choice of refusing Uncle Flatwell's request. I wiped Dunham's burned pickaxe off the ice and blew up the tower on the dam for a D? Ooh, yeah, we'll just ignore that happening. Hey, the challenge is to complete, not to destroy AC6, okay? Now we get to the first mission that defines our Allmind path. Escort the weaponized mining ship. This was where I thought things were going to be really difficult starting out, and while it's no cakewalk, I did impress myself by only needing 1 try. Yay me. That being said, it took almost everything I had in AP to manage, and all I managed was a B rank. Time now to climb the wall. Dance, dance, dance around all the explosives while trying to avoid them. Take out the 2 Gatling emplacements, break a Baus Tetrapod MT with a kick, and climb up to meet up with our buddy to give the Juggernaut a workout. Snail tries to sacrifice me by pulling Rusty out of the fight early, but I don't care. I work fine on my own anyway. It just took a little longer. Got an A for the effort. To knock it out real quick, I chose to do a log hunt instead of a prison break, and quickly ran through retrieving the combat logs, collecting all of them for the S rank, and defending myself against little Zai when she decided to attack me. Boring, but it's going to save a little time. Now we need to obstruct the mandatory inspection. This is another one that we need to do for Allmind. This mission started off with me feeling a little slap happy, so I wiggled my noodle at the first MT to start things off, burned through the first MTs and wiggled my noodle at the LCs that attacked also, took out the last couple of sniper LCs and met up with Kate to fight up the big dumb cataphract and his ectromoid buds. Started with the ectromoid dudes, then joined Kate to bully the cataphract, finishing him up with a sweeping oscillator. S rank, baby. And now to finish chapter 1, we face the alternative attack the watch point. This one we also need to do for our Allmind run. I made quick work of the first couple of groups of enemies and their massive lasers. Don't mind the one laser that always hits me. I hate it. We face Sulla and his 4 ghost buddies, eliminating the ghost first, then facing Sulla and showing the joys of having a coral oscillator available to use. Resupplying, I go down and destroy the device to trigger the fight with the Balteus. I fought Balteus like a straight up caveman. Wally's AC can luckily tank a lot of damage, which kind of made this fight a little visceral in how we just kept hammering on each other. But in the end, I came out on top, and fighting like that gave me a lowly B rank, marking the end of Chapter 1 and bringing us into Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is a shorty, so we start by popping in on Carla during the mission Infiltrate Grid 086. She's real happy to see us and gives us a nice RAD welcoming party, complete with RAD MTs that make the spider baby from Toy Story look friendly, tetrapods and toy box mechs. Oh, and not to forget Rummy too. I fly past about half of the party to mingle with Rummy, but he doesn't seem too interested in partying with me, so then I went to go find Carla. I'd party my way and mingle my way through the grid a little longer until I find her vacuum cleaner. It woke up in a very grumpy mood and tried to smash my face with its big grindy fists. What purpose does this thing serve anyway? But before I can manage to find the off switch, it manages to give me my first death in the run. I don't even know what would hit me. Still, I tried again and played a little smarter, this time winning and pulling another B rank. Next on this path is the Stop the Data Breach mission, where Carla has decided to hire you instead of trying to kill you. I've actually done this mission recently already, so it was pretty easy for me to remember where all the hacking drones were. The hard part is going to be Iggy and the ghosts. That should be a band name. Full disclosure, it took a few tries, but I pulled a B rank again. Now it's time to bring Chapter 2 to an end and take the long and boring elevator ride up to the top. I take the path of the coward and fly under everything until the end, where I try to one-shot all the squiddies with an assault armor, but miss. So I healed my boo-boo and I fought the sea spider. Holy crap, does Wally bully this fight. Charged attacks just keep this thing from doing much. It did break away one time and stomped my face pretty hard, but a well-timed assault armor put it right back into another stagger, giving me ample time to heal and do more damage. He took off and flew around, so I knocked it down for another S rank, ending Chapter 2. So begins Chapter 3, the bane of my very existence. And only half for the reason why you might be thinking. Really? The real reason is because I had to do this 3 times. The first time, flowing real well, knocking down missions. Then my power strip died. Man, and that killed the footage. Like, completely killed it. There was no recovery. I try again, but this time I forgot to hit record. Great. And now, so the first real mission of Chapter 3 was completed. Trying to play the chapter. I'm going to try and fly through Chapter 3 here a little bit, so buckle in. We start by stealing the survey data, which then ruffled some feathers, so I blew up one of the PCA's dreadnoughts in glorious fashion, granting me an A rank. Then I did attack the refueling base, skipping all the fuel tanks and screaming straight to the control tower with a really big hole in it that I didn't do myself. Wait, who did that? Did anyone know? Then I went ahead and beat up the Ectromoy twins, got an A rank. Next was the run the stealth mission, eliminate V7, which I did not do very stealthy, but had an easy time pummeling Swinburne into the dirt, scoring a nice A again. Opting for more fun than boring, since the choice between tunnel sabotage and prevent corporation salvage of new tech doesn't have a bearing on the path, so I prevented the salvage of the tech, taking out the big bad HC while it was still under maintenance, and his little LC lackeys after, for an A rank. Next up is the alternative version of Survey the Uninhabited Floating City. We need this in order to do the Allmind, so there's no getting around it. This mission is pretty much the same as its normal one, except for a very angry thumb Domian shows up and obliterates the PCA helicopter you normally would fight instead. And his AC Asjik is a beast with him piloting it. It took a couple tries, but his sticky AC eventually fell to score up a D again. Let's just lift the rug there and sweep that under the... Yeah, we're just gonna ignore that one too. Then Carla asked us to help her launch some missiles in heavy missile launch support, in which I managed to do by losing one of the missiles. But that's fine. Carla overprepared, and we got another A rank. Next it was destroy the Special Forces craft. Easy peasy. S rank easy. Time to attack the old spaceport with Rusty. I rip through the starting defenses and take my usual path through the mission, first taking out the dry docked dreadnought, then the 3, and finally the 1. Resupply, some snipers, and last 2. Now for the PCA heavy and light cavalry duo. Easy. It actually wasn't that hard. And then I was reminded of what might fail this run. But we'll tackle that nightmare later. B rank. Are you kidding me? That's some bull. Now we dance through Brute's stolen MT army and collect the railgun and eliminate Honest Brute, eliminating him, even if he did try to burn my eyes out with his bad cook. We got an S rank, and now it was time for me to take care of more all-mindy work to do. Coral export denial. Simple enough. Two-shot all the transport helicopters and keep your distance until... Wait, no. It's aerial interdiction from Armored Core 4 all over again, but longer and no train at the end. I take out all the helicopters and get the S. Now I had a choice between fighting Nightfall and defend the old spaceport, or trying to defend the damn complex, where it's essentially a 3-on-1 against me. I love punishment, so let's kill them all. Defend the damn complex. It took a few tries, but I managed to drop King, then Chartreuse, and finally Nightfall. Look, I figure if you can do that one, you can definitely do the other one. We landed an A rank. And now for the rest of my headache. Destroy the Ice Worm. I went into this assuming Walter couldn't even do this at all. Not enough ammo, right? Well, not quite. Became a little more complicated than that. And so on my first try, I took a couple of pot shots at his face, hopped haphazardly with the coral gun, and tried some missiles. Yeah, no, that's not happening like that. So I wanted to do my due diligence and try again with something else in mind. And apparently wiggling your noodle at his face has an effect. A pretty good one. Crap. Now I actually have to try. And I tried. And tried. And tried. And tried. For a very long time. But I don't think I have the skill for this. You get just barely enough ammo for the red wiggle noodle, and the oscillator requires you to get uncomfortably close. I fully believe it can be done, just not by me. And thankfully, that is Chapter 3, done and dusted. Let's get the hell out of Dodge and hit Chapter 4 already. Underground Exploration Depth 1. Fell down a big hole, blew up a giant metal flower. Next. Underground Exploration Depth 2. Alternative. Is a little bit better. I made my way to the first chamber where I get ambushed by Cold Call instead of Ignatius. Cold Call puts up a much better fight, but I win and resupply to chase the Enforcer down to what feels like a little bit like its lair. I have a cinematically close fight with it, and I finish it off with my sweeping oscillator for a C rank. On Underground 3, I fly high above the lasers and then plummet down under them to minimize damage from them. Then fly over the Rubicon MTs and blow up the laser grid, starting the reactor meltdown. And then I have a rough fight against the Ephemera boss, AC. It falls and I escape with an A rank. Moving on now, our next objective is to eliminate V3. Nice when the alternative mission is easier than the other two options. And hey, we need this one for Allmind, so great. I made short work of V3 O'Keefe by nuking him with coral missiles and walked away with an S rank using only one repair and one assault armor. I probably could have done it without those, honestly, if I really tried. I let Rusty ambush me while Flatwell tries to help in the alternative Unknown Territory Survey mission. I did that one because this is basically the one that takes over or replaces the regular one from now on whenever you do a playthrough. Walter wrecks this fight so hard I don't even know how Flatwell died. I don't think I even saw it happen. It was like throwing two bunnies in a box with an angry honey badger. I never even targeted Flatwell. A rank. Next was to reach the coral convergence, but alternatively. This time I destroy Materlink's infection and G3's Li Long, but Allmind gives me a warning and I take a detour straight to Snail's dumb butt. Iguazu interrupts, but I finish off Snail, Ignite, in Chapter 4 with an A rank. Now for the final chapter, Chapter 5. We get the short run this time on this run because the Allmind run only has 3 missions in Chapter 5. So we're going to start with MIA, or Missing in Action. As the second depth of the underground caverns burn and everyone panics, I sneak my way up, killing everything in my path, and also not. I read, and I teach the now V3 Pater, who is drunk from power in his new cavalry suit, why his new toy ain't got shit on me, and earned me a nice S rank. Next is regain control of the Xylem, where we have to destroy the parasite modules. This one gets a little bit chaotic with all the enemies here, but Wally's AC's got this, and he can tank the incoming damage while I search for these stupid things. Ah, there's the last one now. Let's go ahead and drop down this hole and... Oh, hi Chatty. My, you've grown. Another S rank. And now for the main event, Coral Release. Iguazu's new Mind Gamma and that Karasawa aren't too bad so long as I use care to try and beat him without taking too much damage or using too many repairs. It helps to start by locking on, if you use it, then immediately jumping forward and left to avoid his initial blast. Also give a 1 or 2 quick boosts just to keep the distance because that thing does have a lot of spread. I finished the first phase of this fight with 2 repairs and 2 assault armors left. Not bad. Now to face Allmind, as Iggy has gone full integration with Allmind and gotten another upgrade from somewhere. Oh, and also has 2 sea spider friends. Yay! It was hard, took a few tries, but I still got an S rank. Well, that is it for my run. Armored Core Lore, thanks for having me, buddy.
Thank you, Tusk. As you have seen, Walter's AC can complete the Allmind route, minus the Ice Worm mission. However, we do know Walter's AC can beat this level thanks to this YouTuber, who beat the Ice Worm in his own challenge run. He will also, unlike me, be able to beat another level I will talk about later. I highly encourage watching his run, as he is a much more skilled pilot than myself. Along with this, he pilots his AC with dual sticks and pedal controls, which is very cool if you ask me. Still, onto my attempt with the final 2 routes. There is not a lot I can add onto for the missions, as while there are differences between the missions you can take to get to these routes, I feel Tusk did a grand job of covering them. As such, I'm going to cover what I feel are ones with some meat on them. These are the fights with the Strider, powered up Rusty on the Xylem, Carla and Chatty, Walter, Balteus with Snail in it, and of course the air fight. Embarrassingly, I have to admit first, it took me a few times with the Strider. Not because of getting blasted by the laser, or any good reason I feel. No, instead I failed because I could not get to the other part of the Strider after it discarded its back end. Mostly due to poor energy management I feel on my part. However, it also seems Hal does not like flying distances much. Now, while this is not a rip-roaring start, I would pull my act together and manage to climb up the Strider after taking out its leg and boosting across the other half of the Strider instead of trying to hover across. Still, a few coral shots, missiles, and getting hit by the eye a couple of times, Hal makes it through this mission with a poor D rank, but I know it can be done better. Next, I would like to tackle the 2 missions of the Fires of Raven route. This would be our fight with powered up Rusty on the Xylem and the fight with air. I did not beat Rusty on the first go. In fact, I ended up using the checkpoint save about 6 to 8 times. However, the 9th time seemed to be the one, as the tactic, I use this term lightly here, I had for this fight is to use the first charge attack of the coral rifle along with the fully charged coral missiles to deal stun damage. Then hit Rusty hard with the oscillator's single hit slash. We did not have the time to charge it up and slice across the sky, as Rusty would be up and out the way by the time it was ready to go. So this was the plan I went with, and so rinse and repeat it I did. That said, I did end up taking hits from Rusty, missing shots and blade strikes, which I am sure is clear to see. Before then we come to the end, where I admit I was panicking a bit, as I was on red health and had no repair kits. There was a lot of flapping about, boosting and trying to land one more coral rifle shot as Rusty zoomed about. However, it was then Rusty flew into one of the buildings, and taking a lucky chance, I boosted over and kicked him, finishing him off. It was close, and while I walk away with a D rank here, I admit after 9 times, I was just happy to see the back of this fight. Now, the air fight. I'm going to be honest here, I got very close to beating it on many occasions. Yet after hours and hours of doing this mission over and over again, I threw in the towel. It really was close. I know that some attempts were just 1 or 2 shots away from victory, but at this point I needed to move on, or this video would never get done. Plus, there is only so many times one can listen to Air's speech over and over before turning off the sound and muttering rude words as she kills you yet again. But to give some details on how I approach this fight, the plan is to use the first charge of the coral rifle after Air takes a swing or when she uses her small homing missiles, which at this I put up the coral shield to limit the damage and take the shot. I would use the same idea with the fully charged coral missiles, as they do great damage to her shield, yet being too close, I felt like the damage output was a lot lower, so I tended to switch a lot, or try to charge up both at once. This was my process for the whole fight, so when Air took a swing, I boosted forward past her, fired the charge shot, and then beat a hasty retreat to charge up my chosen weapon. Now, you may ask, why not use the beam attack of the coral rifle? Well, while it is effective in taking out Air's shield, the issue was by the time it was done, or I had broken out of it by boosting, Air was already up and moving, leading to this merry chase around as she is too fast for missiles, and most of the time had her shield back up before I could get close enough to use the oscillator. Again, using a charged oscillator had the same issue as using the fully charged coral rifle. It allowed Air too much time to recover and put her shield back up. Hal's ammo count also meant this fight could not drag on either. Otherwise, the coral rifle runs out, and Air will gladly take shots at the AC charging towards her, and while it does its silly overhead twirl before slashing. Seriously, what is up with the over-fancy slashing with this AC? Still, once again I'm going to point you to the same YouTuber I mentioned before, who does beat Air in his Walter Challenge video. But while Air may have beaten me, the others did not. Oh yes, it's time for the Liberator of Rubicon route, and it's here where Walter becomes the Liberator of Rubicon. So let's start with the Carla and Chatty fight. I first tried to chase down Chatty and blast him, however Carla is the real threat here. Her missiles can stun Hal easily, and she takes great delight in kicking your AC when stunned. So, 4 deaths later, I change my plan. This time Carla is first, and it's time to throw everything I have at her. Charge beams, kicks, missiles, get her stunned and then hit her with the uncharged oscillator. I will say I have yet to find the fully charged oscillator useful outside the ice worm, as most foes uses the chance to blast Hal back with weapons as the AC stands still for some time after. But getting back to the fight, after throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Carla, she goes down. However, this approach does leave me with no repair kits, and Chatty's still running around on full health and his own repair kits. I wish I could say I was locked in and went all Freud on Chatty. But the truth was, I went into it once again throwing all I had at Chatty, wildly using whatever I had, but only using the oscillator when he was on a wall to hammer in the damage. Once again, Hal does win here, and walks away with an egg rank. Next we have Snail in the Balteus. Again, this was not a first time victory. In fact, I ended up playing the whole mission over again more than I'd like to admit, because I kept hitting the wrong menu option. Still, my mistakes aside, this fight very much had the same feeling as the others. Use the first charged beam coral shot and fully charged coral missiles to take down Snail's shield, and then hit him with an uncharged oscillator slash and some single coral shots. Although I will admit, Hal's kicks here do help when all weapons are charging. It was a lot of going back and forth and energy management, because Snail decided he would like to take this fight to the sky, something Hal is not best suited for, so he spent some time with no energy and taking hits as punishment. In the end, however, with one final coral rifle blast, Snail went down and we walk away with a D rank. The final fight I will talk about is Hal vs Hal, the showdown of shiny red armored cores. You may be surprised to hear this one only took me 4 times. For this battle, it was a lot of flying overhead and getting under Walter before firing off charged shots, and funnily enough more use of the oscillator than missiles here. The fully charged coral rifle did also see use here, mostly because Walter stands still for a bit after using one of his own charge attacks, making this beam useful to rack up the damage. The no charge oscillator, as I commented on before, also kept proving itself here, dealing the majority of the damage when Walter finished with his fully charged attacks. It proved to be quick enough to get in there, even with the silly fancy swing it does. And after a few rounds of this, and once again a blinking energy meter screaming out at the heavy energy use of this AC, Walter is finally defeated, and we walk away with a B rank here. So, that does leave the question, can you beat Armored Core 6 as Handler Walter? Yes. Yes, you can, but it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of energy management, as Hal and its weapons are just energy drainers.